yeah, I mean, it's an array of people within Plymouth, Devon and Cornwall communities that the project have been supporting.
It's just like fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and using, you know, those that affiliate with the football club, using the badge to promote such good. I mean, at the start you said about 100,000 meals was your target. How did you? Can you tell us a bit more about how did you kind of come up with that number originally?
I think it was a bit of an all-round number. I mean, once we get to 100,000, it doesn't stop there.
No, sure.
You know, we will continue. What we want is Project 35 to be a legacy.
Yeah.
So we want, you know, to do so much work, to continue the partnership with the club and the trust, to continue to help people within our communities. I mean, the 35 from Project 35 derived from the percentage of children in Plymouth living in poverty, and that was based on 2019 figures. So those stats were pre-pandemic and pre-cost of living crisis. So we expect those numbers to be much higher now than they were then. So I mean, there's still so much work to be done. And one of the things we're looking for this year is our Farm to Fork programme. So what we want to do is educate children in learning where their veg comes from, what they can do with it. You know, take the potato. The potato's such a versatile vegetable, isn't it? You do so much with the vegetable, with the potato. And so what we want to do is go back to basics. So teach children how they can make nutritious meals using veg. And then hopefully they'll go home and it's something they can interact with their parents with.
Is it relatively difficult getting children to eat I don't know. I think I was pretty good when I was a kid, but I know some kids are like not interested. You know, anything green, they don't like it, do they?
I
Sometimes
think you've got to be quite creative.
Yeah.
I was talking to some children recently, actually. We were at a supermarket giving away swede seeds. So we were trying to encourage people to grow their own at home. And the amount of children, because they want to get involved, and I thought swede. I remember being a child, swede, not my favourite. But the amount of children that are like, oh, we love swede, we love mashing it with carrots.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think children do eat, you know, are keen to eat veg, and I think if you keep it simple, like carrots and potatoes, that type of thing, then yeah, they'll really embrace, you know, learning more about those products.
I think it's that active learning as well,
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
makes it
So
more
getting
interesting.
children involved in active learning, they become more curious.
Yeah.
And then they become more adventurous, and as a result of their own input, they feel, you know, really affiliated to the you know, the project they're in, you know, they're immersed in. So it's fantastic.
And we get them to engage in pasty making workshops.
Nice.
So they understand all the products, all the ingredients that go into a pasty, and they make it themselves, and they can take it home and share with their families.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it's one of those situations because it's tackling poverty. Like you said, you have a target, but that number continues to fluctuate because it's, you know, if you collect the right amount of tins from today, it doesn't just stop there. You know, you have to keep going. So we'll obviously be really grateful for everyone getting involved. And like Debbie said, if you are watching at home and you do want to get involved, bring items of in-date, non-perishable food to Home Park today. You can see Debbie and her team. Jack Leslie statue, you said, is one of the best places to find you. There'll also be collection points, Babcock, Devonport End, Food Band, the gazebo, all things like that, up until kickoff. Debbie, thank you so much for being with us this morning. It's been really interesting to talk to you about that and hear about how it works. And of course, we'd love to hear from you as well, wherever you're watching from, at home, away. Do get in touch over on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. We'll be keeping our eyes peeled on the social pages, and it'll be brilliant to hear from you then. And we've still got lots more coming up on the programme this morning. After 11, Devon-born Sunderland commentator Nick Barnes is joining us to talk about the Black Cats' stunning start to the new season. We're going to hear from Dan Grimshaw, who is the man likely to be between the sticks for Argyle this afternoon. And we're going to get a transfer window roundup from Argyle's head of recruitment, Jimmy Dickinson, and all of that is coming up next.
It's not about the miles travelled, the long journeys planned and made. Portsmouth to Sunderland, by coach, car and train.
We are pilgrims, like our forebears. The spirit of adventure is in our veins.
In battles fought on foreign ground, our loyal chant a constant sound.
We travel as one.
The Green Army, on the march.
We wear the shirt with pride.
A sea of green surging forward like the tide. Jammers, one and all. The threads are woven with our dreams. In every stitch our passion beams. Distance doesn't faze us. We're loyal to the last.
It's more than just a shirt. We are Plymouth Argyle.
We were built for the journey.
Well, it's coming up to 20 past 10 now. This is Argyle Breakfast. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday. The last time we sat here, we had just completed the signing of Rami El Hadj, who was the latest player to join the Argyle squad in the summer transfer window. And that window saw 9 players come into the club, and all bar Rami have made their debuts so far. So it's an incredibly hard time this time of year for the head of recruitment, Jimmy Dickinson, and he's been explaining all of that in a chat with Charlie Price.
Let's go through it. So we'll kind of talk roughly, or generally I should say, about the transfer window and the incoming. So 9 players brought in, 5 permanent signings, 4 loans. Your assessment now on the business that was done, Jim, I suppose.
Yeah, look, it's obviously a broad question. The transfer window is a long time. There's a lot of emotions. It really is a roller coaster of a window of a few months. It always is. Up and down, elation, a lot of obviously bad times as well, and obviously times where you miss out on people and you get frustrated. But no, look, overall, I've had a day or two to kind of think about it now and kind of dissect it and think properly. And look, I think it's been a good window, positive about it. I think we've got, again, players with a lot of resale value and players with a lot of potential, which is important for the football club. And I think everyone we've signed is going to contribute a lot to the season. Obviously, it's early on. We're 4 games in. Obviously, when we sat down over a year ago with the football club and decided we wanted to obviously look a lot in the European and foreign market, one of the main things we discussed was that it takes players time to bed in and to settle down, and that's the case. We've signed quite a few of them, a few foreign and European ones, so it will take time, and they will get that time, and they will come good, and they are coming good already. So
yeah, the European market or the overseas market is definitely something you're seeing creeping in the lower leagues more and more and more now, isn't it?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Like I say, I think it's well, I can only talk about why we do it. Obviously, it's the way the club do it is obviously so we can get more value for money. That's the way we see it. Obviously, in England, there is a lot of players asking for bigger wages, free agents or at football clubs. Already at football clubs, it is a very kind of saturated market. So we do it to try and obviously look for hidden talent, but also value for money in those areas, and players that we know we can bring over and develop at the same time.
Yeah. Now, it's not a fluke. Players that come in, if they're going to do well, you've put a lot of work into the data behind the players, watching the players, reports from the players, and then also talking to the players. So take us just into that. Just take Ibrahim Sissoko, for example.
Yeah. So
how does that come about?
Ibi is an interesting one. We were obviously looking at him when he was at NEC. We obviously, as I've said in the past, we have our data tool that obviously Ross has created where we can track and monitor players. So obviously Ibi was one that was well out of our range and reach over a year ago when he was at NEC. Obviously, he moved to Toulouse last summer. We was in contact with Toulouse over other things during the season, and they mentioned that potentially he might go out on loan in the summer. So we kept a real eye on that one, real close eye. And when it was time to kind of jump on it, we was all over it with the agent Menno, and we obviously managed to get it over the line quite quickly in the end.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so as you say, you've been monitoring him for a while, so you knew about his quality. We've just seen his goal that he scored against Hull, which no doubt is a relief for you that he's got off the mark.
Nice.
But what in particular do you guys, and then Neil, and then obviously Wayne and Pete and the rest of the football stuff, what did you like about him that made you want to go and get him and bring him in?
100%. Look, I think probably the same what the fans are saying at the minute. He's an exciting player. He's quick. He's tricky. He wants to be positive on the ball. He obviously wants to take on his man, and obviously wants to get in the box and obviously assist and score. So for that kind of position, that's exactly what we look for. And obviously we know there's so much potential there. Obviously he had a stop-start season at Toulouse last year, so in my opinion he's only just getting going. He's obviously, there's still a few things to click, whether that be minutes on the pitch and obviously just his all-round game. But when that does happen, as you can see already, he's going to be a big player for us, and he's obviously going to excite the fans a lot this season. Yeah,
that's definitely started already.
Yeah,
for sure. He is one of 4 that have come in on loan. If we take him and we take Mohamed Tijani, for example, as well, two players from that overseas market that have both got European experience.
Yep.
They've both, played in top tier leagues. Yeah. So, people always ask the question, are loans, they're not our player, and there is that risk that they'll get whisked away and sold somewhere else. So the benefits of TJ, who we're seeing now, and Sissoko coming to us on loan, then talk to us about
so
that.
Obviously the TJ one, again, he's someone we've tracked for a while. His profile, he's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he can also run in behind, he's quick when he gets moving, as we've seen there obviously on the clip. Like I say, he's someone we've tracked again. Again, he obviously scored goals in Europa League last season, had a stop-start season at Slavia Prague, where the year before they bought him, he was scoring goals for a team obviously in the Czech Republic. So he's had a stop-start season. We look beyond that. We look at his data beyond just goals and assists, and obviously his underlying data was all still there, if not better, at Slavia Prague than his previous club. So that's something we obviously seen as a positive. Again, he was available for loan, obviously with an option to buy, which obviously the club have made clear. We again tracked him. We was in for him. He had a lot of interest, and I know a lot of people and a lot of clubs say that, but that was genuinely the case. We obviously was one of the clubs he was looking at, but he had Europa League interest. Obviously scored in Europa League already the year before, and obviously I don't think it's any secret saying when the gaffer got appointed, he wanted to come and play for the gaffer, and that's still the case. I see a lot of rumours knocking around, as we do, and I don't know if I should say this or not, but they aren't the case, and he's very committed to the football club. He's had a stop-start time at the minute. Obviously he's had a couple of little niggles and things like that, and obviously played in the first game away at Sheffield Wednesday, which was a tough game for everyone involved, but no, we believe he's going to come good for us, and he's going to have a big impact this season.
Yeah, and using the loan market is a way of getting players that we wouldn't be able to get permanently, adding that bit of quality that
100%.
we might not be able to afford.
So
maybe?
Ibby, for example, I do read social media. I don't know if I should or shouldn't, but I do. And it's like, I know obviously the fans wanted to sign players for money. I know we did in the end, and obviously they wanted to do it quite early on. For example, Ibby got bought for, I won't say the fee, but obviously a big fee the year before, a fee that we won't be able to get anywhere near. So we're not just going to sign a player for money when we believe there's a better player out there that we can get on loan. We like I said before, we know what impact Hibby's going to have here. So the fact we could get him on loan or someone we tracked, I'd rather do that, and the club would rather do that than just spend money because we've got it. And whether, I know we have spent the money now towards the end of the window, but whether that then came and we spent it in January instead on the right player, then we're willing to do that, because it's about the right player at the right time, not just spending it because it's there.
Is that the same case for someone like Michael Obafemi and Darko JB, who have played obviously in England, know the league a bit?
Yeah. So obviously the Michael one, I think it's clear and people know, but I'll say again that the striker market is ridiculously tough. It's a really tough window, a really tough market. Sorry. So the fact that we had our strikers done and lined up with a week to go in the window was a massive relief and a real kind of pressure off the back type thing. So, no, so like I say, Michael, he's been there and done it. We know all his qualities. He's obviously gone to Burnley, and again, stop-start for him. And we know we can bring him here and give him the kind of game time and the platform to do what he can do. And like I say, he's done it in the Championship. He's played in the Premier League, obviously with Southampton, and obviously the odd game at Burnley, but for Southampton a few years back. And we know the player he can be.
It's nice having interviews like that we're able to watch on the breakfast show, because it gives a little bit more of the behind the scenes of how the club works. Of course, we're obviously interested in what happens on the pitch and the players and everything like that, but actually seeing the dynamics of how the players get to the club, with a bit of insight from Jimmy there, it's really interesting. What do you think about it?
It's vital, Erin, because like you say, it gives people a better awareness of the intricacies that go into trying to recruit players. It's not just simply a case of going, oh, we like that player, let's grab him.
Yeah.
They'll have a set of objectives. They'll have a budget, they'll have data affiliated to a playing profile, and then from there they'll kind of filter it. Mm-hmm. So they'll use a filtering system to determine which types of players fit the playing profile that they're after, and that takes time. And then you've got the added competition of other clubs and things like that. So there is a lot that go into it. So when we get players over the line, you can see almost the adulation with Jimmy and co to go, right, we've finally done that one. Because there must be nothing worse than putting all the work in, and at the 11th hour, the player goes elsewhere. So, it was a real powerful interview, I thought.
Yeah, and, Charlie, they're asking the question about how just having people on loan enables you to get players that may have previously been out of your price range the season before, or, the logistics around that, getting that little bit of talent for just a specific period of time. You're able to kind of share a bit of the love around, the whole league.
Well, yeah, and let's be realistic. We haven't got a budget that can compete with the top teams in the league. However, if you can get players on loan who will help to consolidate the team's place in the division, that in itself is a win. Whilst they might not be an asset to the football club in terms of we've bought them, their contribution helps us stay in this league. That will only then have like a domino effect of bringing other players next year on loan to maintain that position. So it has its benefits for sure.
And Jimmy, of course, said happy with the 9 signings that they'd made over the summer window. We've seen all of them apart from Al Hajj at the minute. When you're looking at it, are you feeling, similar from how you've seen them play recently?
Yeah, I mean, the signings are positive. They're varied. They're all across the pitch. You've got defensive signings, you've got midfield signings, you've got attacking signings. They're all human, so they'll all have individual capabilities, and they'll all take time to settle in. So some will hit the ground running and look like they're an instant impact. Others take a little bit of time to get used to the culture. There's some European signings, so they might not have played in England before. So it's just getting used to the familiarities of it. I mean, sadly, football's led on emotion, so we want to see instant impact all the time. And Al Hajj, who I suspect, will he start today? I'll be surprised if he does, because he hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. We want him to do well, but time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, Argyle and football is just a constantly evolving beast. You
It
just
is.
got to take each game as it comes and see what happens. We asked you, of course, to get in touch with us as well online on social media. Pleased to say we've had a few people get in touch to give shout outs. Bo Sundrup, we need to say hello to. He was on his way yesterday to participate in his son's football tournament, surrounded by Man City shirts, Real Madrid shirts, Inter Miami, but very proud to represent Argyle in the green at that. So thank you very much. And we've also got to say hello to Tony Bullock Formosa, who's watching over in Melbourne. I imagine this is probably quite a good time of the day. I mean, it wouldn't be a breakfast show in Australia,
That'd
but
be an evening show, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to wake up in the middle of the night. So.
That's a wine show, isn't it?
That's the wine show. Yes, Tony. Hope you're enjoying the wine show. Thank you for being with us. Right, we've got lots more on the breakfast show. So coming up next, here is your manager, Wayne Rooney. Both managers are going to be giving their verdict ahead of this afternoon's game, and hopefully Rooney will be able to grab his first win. Barley Mumba will be looking back over his previous 99 Argyle matches ahead of what we all hope will be his 100th today. And in just a moment, we'll be talking all things goalkeeping and Dan Grimshaw, one of Argyle's newer additions.
It's not about the miles travelled, the long journeys planned and made. Portsmouth to Sunderland by coach, car and train.
We are pilgrims, like our forebears. The spirit of adventure is in our veins.
In battles fought on foreign ground, our loyal chant a constant sound.
We travel as one. The Green Army under march.
We wear the shirt with pride.
A sea of green surging forward like the tide. Jammers, one and all. The threads are woven with our dreams. In every stitch our passion beams. Distance doesn't faze us. We're loyal to the last.
It's more than just a shirt. We are Plymouth Argyle.
We were built for the journey.
Good morning, welcome back. You're watching the Argyle Breakfast Show with me, Erin Black, and Aaron Cusack. Now, in this section of the show, Aaron, we were going to be joined by Paralympic silver medalist Kristen Coombs. Now, unfortunately, he's not very well today, so he's unable to join us in the studio. So we're wishing him all the best, and hopefully we'll be able to get him in very soon. But because of that, we've pivoted and we're going to look at the goalkeeping situation, which has actually developed quite quickly over the last couple of days. So just as a recap for everyone, we've heard the news that Connor Hazard picked up an ankle injury in the closing stages of the Stoke game before the international break. Now, he's had surgery. He's likely to be out of action for about 12 weeks, which, Aaron, that's pretty devastating for him, isn't it?
Massively, because he was in such a rich reign of form. He had a good start to the season, you know, with Michael Cooper moving on and him being recognised as the number one, and then Dan Grimshaw coming in.
Yeah.
I thought he was excellent in the two games that he played before the international break, and you know, he would have been ready to play today and in such fine form, and now he's had that setback, which I think happened towards the latter stages of the Stoke game.
Yeah.
So it was fairly innocuous, I think. And now, sadly, he's going to be missing for 3 months.
Yeah, I certainly don't think when we were watching the game that many people probably picked up on it watching at the time. And, you know, this kind of was set up to be a pretty big season for him here at Argyle. But, of course, though, that means that one of our other new signings, Dan Grimshaw, is going to be stepping up to the plate this afternoon for his big league debut. So before me and Aaron discuss that in any more detail, let's get to know him a little bit better.
Right, Daniel, all Grimmy. We're going to go for getting to know you a little bit better. So, mix of questions, some sporting, some not. Try your best to answer them. That's all right. So, firstly, what's your first memory of football?
My first memory is Man City v Barcelona pre-season game. It was to open what's now the Etihad. So that was I would have been about 5.
Wow.
So that's probably my first memory.
Wow, okay. Do you remember what happened in the game?
City won, which was surprising because the team compared then was, I think it was like Seaman would have been there. But Ronaldinho was playing for Barcelona, but somehow they managed to win.
Okay, sporting idol. You mentioned David Seaman there.
Yeah.
Don't know whether he'd be one.
I have a couple. Buffon is like my goalkeeping idol. But then I'm big like American sports wise. So LeBron James for me is the GOAT of basketball. And then I have Ray Lewis, which is NFL player for. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, so that's all right. I have a signed shirt from him actually.
You have?
Yeah.
Personally given to
Not
you?
like personally from him, like my missus got it as a Christmas present, which
Very
was
good.
nice.
Have you gone out to the States to watch?
I've not actually watched the game. I've been every time they come to the UK. I always go, but I do need to go. I will do that.
Get it booked
soon.
in. Yeah. Well, you've already answered this. First game of football you watched would have been that.
Yeah. Well, I went to. I don't remember it obviously because I would have been about 1. But my mum and dad took me to the '99 final, Wembley City final. But obviously, I can't really count that as a memory.
I'm putting that down as the first game you watched, though, because you were physically there.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Now, this one could be tricky, given your links with Manchester City. But who would you say is the best player that you've ever played with or trained with?
I'll go like off actual playing with. I won't do any like name drops of any of that. But I'd say who we just recently played actually, Dembele. Carmelo Dembele is probably up there. Josh Bowler, Jerry Yates, there, probably the top 3.
On Dembele actually, because he had a good game against us as well, didn't he? What is it about him that makes him, so
He's
good?
just really good at football. Just naturally, just really good. He just loves playing football as well. He's a really nice guy. So he's just a good person, and I think he just really enjoys football. So he just probably practices it every day, every minute.
Constantly, yeah. Right, let's move away from sports and football. So what's the last film that you watched?
Last film. I'm not actually big on films, but at the minute it's probably Moana because I'm a little girl.
Okay, do you know any of the songs?
I know a few because she listens. Like we put them on in the bathroom, but yeah, I don't need to sing them.
No, we don't need to sing it now. That's fine. So, if you don't watch films, do you watch TV series and box sets and stuff? Okay.
I'm in the middle of watching Receiver at the minute. It's obviously sports related. So I'm in the. But I liked the Vikings a lot when I watched that. That was a big one that I liked. I've not watched. Everyone says Game of Thrones. Never watched it. So I do. Probably got some more time now to actually do it.
On the bus.
I'm in hotel buses and get used to that. So I'll probably watch a few more.
Okay. If you've got headphones in, what are you listening to? Music or a podcast?
It probably depends on, like, say, if I'm driving somewhere that's quite far, like if I'm coming back from Manchester to back down, then I'll probably put a podcast on because I think it helps, like, the time go by a bit. So I watch the overlap a lot. Then I watch, it's called The Pivot. It's like an free American NFL ex-players. It's their like show, and they get players on, or they just talk themselves, and that's good to watch. I enjoy that.
Yeah, okay, they're good ones actually. Do you have any pets?
I have 2 dogs. Yeah, 2 girl cocker spaniels, Honey and Raven.
Do you? What colour?
Yeah. Well, one's ginger one, and one is like brown with like blonde caramel like bits.
Okay. Are they mad like my cocker spaniel?
Yeah. They're only, what are they now? Just over 1.
Oh yeah.
So they're still in the crazy stage.
Chaos stage, yeah. Okay, so off season, take football out of the equation. What's your perfect weekend?
I like to just spend time with family. Yeah, I don't really do much in terms of weekends. Like, I'll just enjoy time with my family and go for some food with them, say, or just spend time with them.
Sounds good. Favourite holiday destination?
Jamaica.
Oh, that was off the bat.
Yeah, I did Barbados not last summer, the summer before, but Jamaica was still better, so I'd stay with that. I'd go there again.
That's a very good shout, I think. Do you cook? Can you cook?
Yeah, I can cook, yeah. I've got a little bit better, but mainly, like, my missus.
Okay.
But I can...
So you say you got better. What's your signature? What would your best dish be?
If I had to do something simple, then I would just go like try chicken pasta or something. But I would actually make like sauces myself, not use like the Lloyd's Ghost ones or something. Okay. But that's only because the missus has taught me how to do it.
Okay, so she's good.
Yeah, she's good. She is good at it, to be fair.
Nice. When you are cooking, and you're on the hob,
yeah.
What's your favourite one?
Depends, obviously. Depends pans, like you have 2 smaller ones, 2 bigger ones. So if you're using a big pan, but if I would say one I go to first is probably the back right for some reason.
Back right?
Yeah, not sure why, but yeah, I'd say the back right.
Okay. And finally, where would you keep your eggs, Grimmy?
Fridge.
Okay.
I have a little stack that has like 6 spaces to put the eggs in.
Yeah, fair enough. Good. Well, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Super stuff.
Where do you keep your eggs? On the side?
I keep mine on the side.
Yeah, I don't think either's.
There's no right or wrong answer here, lads. That's the main. That's the point.
I think they're only probably in the fridge because.
Aaron, I think we can both agree. We find this segment absolutely fascinating.
They're fascinating, aren't they? You could do like psychological case studies on these.
I think I could watch just every player back to back.
Like Obafemi was out here. He was in another
I'm not sure that one's kind of the gold standard at the minute.
He's in his own ballpark.
Just reaction to questions, but some of that was just, I don't know, what do you like to cook? We were both like, he's going to say pasta. He's going to say pasta.
He's going to say pasta, and then he went, easy pasta with chicken.
Makes his own sauce.
He makes his own sauce, so fair enough. Maybe he said about watching the NFL Pivot series, so what they do after their playing career. So maybe he can go in and make his own sauces. Side hustle.
I can't wait to see the next one. Who's going to be next? We can just discuss our favourite question, favourite moment. But then I was thinking, if somebody asked me somebody said like, "What's your ideal weekend?" I don't know what I'd say, because you want to think of something like creative that people go, "Oh wow, that's really interesting," but
that might not be a true.
Yeah, I'd lie.
Resemblance of it, I don't know.
I'd make myself sound way more interesting than I actually am. On to his actual football element, though. Of course, we saw him make his club debut against Watford, but likely to see him make his league debut this afternoon. You were impressed by him during Watford, weren't you, Aaron?
Excellent. You know, he had that initial blunder, fine, but after that, he was outstanding. Now, the worst thing you want in your debut is to have a bit of a howler like that, but that could easily crush someone's capacity to showcase what they can do. And he just wiped it clean and started again and gone, right, okay, I'm going to rebuild what I'm capable of doing. And then for the remainder of the game, he prevented the scoreline from being potentially 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But they weren't just, routine saves. They were quite spectacular. I mean, this was his save not long after the first goal. I mean, the agility there to push it around the post was outstanding. And it wasn't only that, Aaron, it was also his ability to use his feet and have a good start and position. This was early in the second half, so he's clearly a good mover as well. He's not just renowned for saving the shots. He has to marshal his box. But, I mean, this would have given him the power of good, but also would have rekindled the faith from the fans' perspective, having had that early error. But I think we've made a really, really good signing here, because not only can he do things like that, he can also play with his feet. Yeah. And if you want, Rooney wants the team to build from the back, you've got to have a goalkeeper that's comfortable being able to play the ball in different ways, using different techniques. Yeah. So he's a footballer. He's not just a goalkeeper. He's able to play the game with the ball at his feet as well. Yeah, and we were, obviously we've seen Michael Cooper in action here at Argyle for a long time, and we were talking about the build slightly different, but, Dan's very agile, like you said. He might not be built quite the same as Michael Cooper, similar heights, but he just looks really kind of springy and nimble. And that might be his strength. Notoriously we look at the goalkeepers, I think the average height is 6'4", so he's below that threshold. But because he's really wiry, it means he's agile and he can get around the goal. So that might be his strength. So it's not about how big you are, it's how well you can move as well. And Coops isn't notoriously big, but he looks bigger because he's wider. Yeah. Whereas Dan looks a lot leaner, But that's clearly not affecting him because, one, he's earning a living from the game, and two, we've just showcased what he's capable of doing, you know?
Yeah, well, it will certainly be really interesting to see him up against Sunderland this afternoon. And, of course, as a result of this whole situation, we've got a free agent on the goalkeeping roster now as well. It's Marco Morosi. He's 30, Slovakian, and here until about January at the minute. Do you know much about him, Aaron? Because I don't.
Not really. I think, like, Slovakian heritage. I think he's played international under-21s. He's played for Coventry. He's played for Shrewsbury. He's got, like, you know, collectively 200 league games. So he's familiar with the the setup.
Yeah.
He might not have played regularly at this level, but I think he'll appreciate he's just the backstop, really. He's there to help and be available if needed.
Yeah.
And because it's a short-term deal, I think both parties probably know he's not here for the long term, but they needed to.
Yeah,
so with Connor now injured, they needed to have a backup.
Yeah, well, maybe we won't get to see him on a getting to know feature, but I keep my fingers crossed because the more the merrier, in my opinion. I love that segment. Right, we've still got a lot more coming up for you over the course of breakfast. We're almost through the first hour, but Nick Barnes, the Sunderland commentator born in Devon, is going to be joining us to talk about why Sunderland have had such a strong start to the season. Lewis Gibson is the latest to take on the 72 in 72 challenge. Will he be able to do better than Mark Edworthy last week? Probably. And Barley Mumba looks ahead to what could be his 100th appearance today against the side where it all began.
It's not about the miles travelled, the long journeys planned and made. Portsmouth to Sunderland by coach, car and train.
We are pilgrims, like our forebears. The spirit of adventure is in our veins.
In battles fought on foreign ground, our loyal chant a constant sound.
We travel as one.
The Green Army on the march. We wear the shirt with pride.
A sea of green surging forward like the tide. Jammers, one and all. The threads are woven with our dreams. In every stitch our passion beams. Distance doesn't faze us. We're loyal to the last.
It's more than just a shirt. We are Plymouth Argyle.
We were built for the journey.
Hello, welcome back to the Argyle Breakfast Show. It is Saturday the 14th of September. The international break is over and we are back. Sunderland are, of course, our opponents today. And as you'll be able to see, we have got a familiar face in the studio. We are very pleased to be joined by Matt Tiller. Matt, how are you this morning?
Hi, Aaron. Yeah, great, yes.
Now, one of the driving forces behind the Jack Leslie campaign.
One of many.
First of all, one of many. And you're also here to talk about new book as well. So let's just rewind Jack Leslie campaign. I mean, we've got the statue out the front now. We were here, you know, when it all kind of took off. How are you feeling with how that whole project's developed?
I thought we'd take decades or years to get the statue up. It was amazing how quickly that happened, and huge thanks to everyone. Argyle fans, of course, but fans of even Sunderland fans, clubs across the country and internationally. It was incredible. But then it sort of took a life of its own. I thought, I set up the campaign with my mate Greg Foxsmith. We grew up in Plymouth and we've been fans for years. And we thought, that'd be it. Our job's done. But it's sort of taken a life of its own, which is great because the story is so powerful. And to be able to sort of tell it to new people is always a joy when, we go and talk in schools. And I had some great news just the other day. Devonport High School for Boys had chosen the campaign as a charity and recognising Jack and renamed one of their school houses the Leslie House.
Oh, wow.
And it's the greenhouse, of course.
Which is
and I passed that on to Jack's granddaughters, 3 granddaughters, Leslie, Lynn and Jill. And they're always blown away, but I just, get really emotional. It's lovely, actually.
I mean, well, it's just nice when you see, I suppose when you were doing it, you don't quite realise all the different knock-ons that might develop from it, which is the really kind of nice, wholesome part.
It is really nice, and it's all, we keep getting, asked to do stuff, which is really lovely, and and it's carried on obviously with the honorary cap that is now here in the Jack Leslie boardroom. I mean, that was incredible because we never thought that was going to happen, although we wanted it and we asked for it at the very start when Debbie Hewitt sort of engaged with us and said she was going to make this happen. And it's great that it's here at Argyle. I mean, 97 years too late, but wonderful that it's here.
Yeah, and it was last season, wasn't it, that you launched your book, The Lion Who Never Roared?
Yes, it was the October last year, so it's been, and that was great. I did loads of events here at Home Park and in Plymouth and in London, where Jack was from, and then I've got a few things coming up, which is it's tomorrow. I'm in Chiswick, back in London, book festival, and then in Appledore in North Devon on Monday. So do check those out, and in Yorkshire at the end of the month. 27th of September. So, you can find that on my social media and the campaign social media and stuff.
Yeah, because it's one of those things, you release a book, it doesn't just stop there once it's out. There's still work to be done, and it's next month is Black History Month as well, isn't it? So I imagine there'll be ties in with that.
We always get requests, and it's always really good. One of the loveliest things that I did last year was I did a talk for the Argyle Academy and the under-18s, which was lovely. I'm sort of, meeting people who are... I was like when Freddie Asaka and Caleb Roberts come in, you go, it's great. And that was really great. So I'm going to be doing that again towards the end of October, talking to the Academy. It's great. These teenage boys and girls learning about the story and learning about the club's history is great.
Now, of course, I know of you from the Jack Leslie campaign and from the book, but day job-wise, film producer, that's right,
But that's a bit excessive.
No?
I thought Hollywood then.
I know, right?
Here's our ticket to America.
This is it.
Well,
take us with you.
Yeah, people keep asking about a Jack Leslie film. Probably in 10 years' time, it takes that long to make a film, and I've never actually made a film. I started off, it's great today I was walking up. It's my first home game that I've been able to get to, and... walking up to Home Park, saw the Gordon Sparks mural, which was fantastic.
Brilliant.
But that's where I started my career at Plymouth Sound Radio with Gordon back in the sort of mid-late 90s when Neil Warnock was about it. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great fun, and he was amazing. And then went on into TV. So and I sort of make radio comedy now mainly.
But you're doing something at the box at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that off the back of the campaign, there's been a number of projects and initiatives. So there's one called Hidden Figures, which is a project by a group called Wonder Zoo, who are telling stories like Jack's, but also other significant characters like Jimmy Peters. I don't know if you've heard of Jimmy, but he was a rugby player who was based here in Plymouth for a while.
Right.
And amazingly, the first black player to be selected and play for England back in 1906. Who had lots of challenges himself, of course. And so recognising some of these amazing stories of figures that have come through Plymouth. And also at the box, looking into their archive, so using sport to kind of see how diverse figures have been sort of portrayed. And what's really interesting looking into that, it's often not mentioned. I thought, there'll be quite a lot of clear references to like racism in the 70s, 80s, 90s, because we all know what it was like on the terraces. But it's almost like it wasn't spoken of, which kind of doesn't really surprise me, because we just talk about that stuff more now.
Yeah. It's interesting that it doesn't, like you said with rugby, like I'm not familiar with that story myself, but it's just there are all these similarities that are just going through these periods of history and these different sports. And like you said, it takes the right group of people to come together and actually, make it known and set.
I think that's really vital, to not, like I say, not just go back to an era where we go, well, that was just how it was.
Yes.
Totally.
Actually, let's make it more evident to say that wasn't how it should have been, and it's okay to talk about it now, and to get the kind of people more aware of it, so the next generation don't see it as a prejudice or.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't acknowledge, how can you really move forward if you're not, acknowledging what's been passed?
Also, when that was happening, when Jack was deselected from the England team, it's not like everyone said, "Oh, that's just how it is." People at the time, Argyle fans, were angry, and they said so as they went through the years. The sort of older, I've got to know an Argyle fan, Charlie, who's I think he's going to turn 99 in a month or so, who saw Jack Leslie and Sammy Black, those amazing players, play when he was about 6 years old, and he was still angry about it. So. It wasn't just accepted at the time. It's just it wasn't spoken of. There wasn't a big campaign. Okay. So it wasn't right then. And, hopefully we can still learn from it.
Yeah, well, mentioning Argyle fans there, of course, we know that you're a big Argyle fan. Lovely T-shirt as well, I must say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for wearing it. What have your thoughts been on the season so far? It's not been the most punchy of starts necessarily, but how are you finding it?
How am I... It's tricky. This will be my first home game, and the only I've watched a lot, and I managed to make it to Watford, which wasn't, I think, indicative of how we've been progressing. I think it shows how kind of shallow the squad is, unfortunately, and hopefully the new signings. But we'll see how to go. I mean, I don't know what your view is, Aaron. You'll know much more than me, but I mean, we're playing better, but it's going to be tough, isn't it? It's going to be really tough. I feel for Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, what do you make of him as a manager? I find it really interesting as a twofold because yes, we haven't had the win yet, and I did find it really interesting when he was announced as the manager. But you can also see, I think, he's the profile raise that kind of comes with having a name like that attached to the club. So it is a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive gamble, isn't it? I mean, he's clearly a lovely guy. I met him just before the Sheffield Wednesday game, a couple of days before. And he was great, really engaging, really bright, and that's how he comes across in the media. And I think we were a bit unsure about the reaction to the Sheffield Wednesday game, but I think actually when you look at what he said off the back of several games, I think it's been pretty intelligent because he was righteously angry after that game, but he didn't pick anyone out individually. And then when things started to improve, he was really, sort of spreading the love amongst the team, amongst the squad, which I think that showed intelligence. So I think everyone hopes. A lot of people are sceptical, but everyone obviously is willing him to do it because the players clearly respect him. He's managed to bring players in despite our, the difficulties of our budget and some difficult situations with Michael Cooper, such like. So yeah, we're all. Let's hope it happens today.
Well, I mean, you're here. You said first.
I'm not the great omen.
Well, you don't know
since the 80s. Well, my record's not that great.
My dad kept coming last season, and every time he used to have a season ticket, and then he was just coming ad hoc, and every game he came to, we would lose. So I was like, please don't come back. So maybe now that you're here today for your first home game of this season, you could be the good luck talisman. I
mean, in the last couple of years, I've seen more wins than losses, which has been great. But that's a big change.
You've said it now.
There's a lot of people that take the personal brunt of the defeat. It's like Dad's fault.
It is all on us as individuals watching from the sidelines. Yes. Matt, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. It's been fantastic to talk to you. Coming up after 11 o'clock, we're going to turn our focus a little bit more towards this afternoon's game. Top of the table, Sunderland. over the next hour. We will also have the latest 72 in 72 challenge with Lewis Gibson under the spotlight this week. Be exciting to see how he gets on. Head coach Wayne Rooney will be previewing this afternoon's game and is hopeful that today could be the day Argyle get that first league win. And Aaron will be diving into the finer details of both Argyle and Sunderland, and will be picking out the players who could make a key difference today.
It's not about the miles travelled, the long journeys planned and made. Portsmouth to Sunderland by coach, car and train.
We are pilgrims, like our forebears. The spirit of adventure is in our veins.
In battles fought on foreign ground, our loyal chant a constant sound.
We travel as one.
The Green Army, under march.
We wear the shirt with pride.
A sea of green surging forward like the tide. Jammers, one and all. The threads are woven with our dreams. In every stitch our passion beams. Distance doesn't faze us. We're loyal to the last.
It's more than just a shirt.
We are Plymouth Argyle.
We were built for the journey.
Welcome back. You're watching Argyle Breakfast, and we're now into the second hour of the show. Hope wherever you're watching from, you're having a lovely morning. Now, Home Park, once again, the setting for some championship football, and the games don't come any harder than the one we've got today. Top of the table, Sunderland. They're the visitors today, and Argyle TV will be the place to follow all the action, should you choose to. Matchday Live will be kicking off a bit later with our pre-match show, which is available free for you over on YouTube from 2:30 p.m. And the match passes for the game can be bought over on the website as well. So do get in on that if you haven't already. You've got plenty of time because, of course, we're still several hours away. Aaron, like you said, international break might be a time for a reset, but at the same time, we are going against the team that's currently at the top of the table.
Yeah, and I think based on how they've started and the depth of quality they've got in their squad, they'll probably be in and around it all season. So it was similar because this time last year it wasn't. I think they played Sunderland about this time last year when they were in a really rich reign of form. I think they were fourth, and we beat them 2-0. And a lot of the fans went away going, "How have we beaten them 2-0?" And that's football. It's about scoring goals. It's about taking the advantage when they come along. The fans recently have been a little bit disgruntled because we don't seem to be clinical, but you can't be clinical unless you get into those areas, and we are getting to those areas. So I'd like to think that the team are more than capable of fashioning opportunities. They've just got to take those moments when they arrive. So we'll soon find out how that plays out.
I think one of the key things you mentioned is Sunderland are really likely to be up and around that top spot for the whole season because at this stage, this early on really in the season, if somebody is kind of up there, it might not necessarily be a complete indication of where they're going to be ranking for the whole season, but they are pretty much, top dogs, you're thinking.
Well, I think that their infrastructure has been really identified in the close season. The owners kind of got links with in and around the French kind of areas and the European teams, and the players that they've bought are all young and have got experience as well. Some are kind of recognised at international level, albeit maybe the under-21s, but still have that pedigree. Yeah. They've got players who have come from big Premier League teams. So, like when you collectively build something where they're all starting to fire together, you get quality, and they'll be there or thereabouts. I mean, they've already seen off Burnley, who came down from the Premier League last year, and in that game they were relatively comfortable for their win. All right, they've played Cardiff and they've played Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday beat us 4-0 in the opening game and then got beat by Sunderland 4-0 the following week. So, like you've already said, it's early, but I think they've got the depth of quality to sustain a challenge.
And of course, yes, we are still early on in the season, but as each game progresses here at Home Park, without that win, do you feel like the pressure for Rooney in particular starts to mount?
It will. It will. Like football has become such an immediate sport.
Yeah.
I.e., if you lose 2 games in a row, all of a sudden you're under pressure.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what level you're at, because of the heightened social media presence. So the longer it goes on without a win, everyone starts to feel it, and you can feel it in the atmosphere. The crowd kind of resemble the lack of wins. The players can feel it. They get tense, and then it feels like you're chasing something. And when you try too hard, that's when you can be at your poorest.
Yeah.
So they want to get momentum as quickly as they can. You know, if they go out and apply themselves today, they could get something from the game. But it's knowing, you know, how they'll respond if Sunderland score in the first 15, 20 minutes, for example. But, you know, we know that we've got the capability to belong in this division.
Yeah.
It's just you've got to make sure you get points on the board. If you get points on the board, it reassures everyone associated to the club.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about having sensible expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, we've spoken when we were looking at the interview with Jimmy Dickinson about, you know, the budget restrictions. We don't have the same budget as some of the other teams in the league and what you're able to do with that. I don't think there's any expectation of Argyle somehow. I mean, it would be great, but ascending up into the Premier League, like that's not what the club is trying to do here. But it's, you don't want to see that, you know, upward thrust and then falling back down a league. That's what we're trying to avoid. It's just a nice, well, it's, you know, it's a nice day out. You want to come, you want to see your team win. You want them to be comfortable in the league.
And there's so much emotion linked to it. People care about the football club and they want to see their team do well, as you've alluded to. And, you know, realistically, it's about looking at the league and chopping it into mini leagues and going, okay, which teams are realistically going to be around about our level and trying to finish above them.
Yeah.
So let's hypothetically say we play Sunderland in 5 months' time and they're top of the league. Away from home, that'll be the return fixture. Probably won't get anything from that fixture. So that's probably where they're not going to put too much emphasis on it. Like, go and have a go and see what happens.
Yeah.
When they play teams like a Cardiff, like a QPR, Sheffield Wednesday potentially, if they're down in the, you know, with us, they're the bigger games where you've got to make sure you pick up points. So anything outside of those games are a bonus.
Yeah, I'm sure those mini leagues will make themselves more known to us as we go on, and that will be a really interesting thing to talk about. One player though in particular excited for this game, Barley Mumba. The afternoon could be his 100th from Argyle, and also very poetically, it's also against the side where he began his career.
We're coming up to, if you play, your 100th game for Plymouth Argyle. Can you sum up what that might mean to you if you do play and when you reach it?
Obviously, I didn't really think I would ever get 100 appearances, but obviously nothing's impossible. Here we are. So I think it'll be obviously a massive game for me, especially playing against Sunderland, which is obviously a club that I've been at when I was younger. So it's weird how things work out. But yeah, you know, 100th game, I still remember my first one like it was yesterday. So yeah, it will be obviously a massive opportunity for me, a massive achievement for me. And yeah, you know, it would be nice to top it off with a win, and obviously our first win for 3 points. So yeah. You mentioned it's against Sunderland. You couldn't have written that any better, could you? The club that you were at from a tiny wee boy. Yeah, like I said, it's weird how football works, and you know, it's a great opportunity to to top it off with the win, and our first win, especially at Home Park as well, which is another, you know, special place to get it all at. Right, we've got 10 photos to celebrate
the 100 appearances, Barley. So I'm going to give you the iPad. Go through them and tell us what's happening in each picture.
Yeah, so this one, if the camera can see, this one is first game of the season, of my first season here on loan against Barnsley. This one I assisted Finn, and I think obviously after the celebrations, I think we're obviously buzzing that we've obviously took the lead. And yeah, you can see everyone together, and yeah, I'm just obviously buzzing to have got the assist and done something in my first game. First goal. See, I love it. First goal for Argyle. It was against Forest Green. Can't remember what was the score, but I think Niall, was it Niall that scored? Niall, me and Finn. I assisted Finn again before he had then assisted me. So I remember it again like it was yesterday. Another proud moment again, obviously to get my first goal for Argyle and and get the season going for myself. So it was nice. Ipswich. I don't think I'll get any of these wrong. Ipswich at home, I think we won 2-1. Obviously me and Morgan both scored that game. It was a massive game as well for me because obviously Ipswich at the time, obviously they don't get along with Norwich very well. So it was nice for Norwich players to score, and obviously I'm not gonna repeat it, but it was an enjoyable game. But yeah. Exeter. First derby game for me in my career. First, obviously, derby goal. This is probably one of my best goal that I'll probably I'll score. And it's probably one of the everyone asks me what's your favourite goal. I think this is it. Obviously it doesn't even matter about the goal, but the fact that it was my first ever derby. And for me, obviously, to remember this goal, then yeah, it's another proud moment. Ipswich, my neighbours again. 1-1. They were winning 1-0, obviously, and then this was right at the end with the assist from Finn again. He just gave me the ball and I did the rest. So. I joke, but no, it was. I still remember it. This is another one of theirs. To my favourite goals. So yeah, another proud moment. Obviously, Port Vale to win the League One. Obviously, another sick moment for the fans, for the players, for the staff, for everyone involved with Argyle. Remember it like it was yesterday as well. We went 1-0 down. We were thinking, oh no, like why? And then I think was it Brands? Brands put one to make it 1-1. Then obviously Joey, then obviously put one to make it 2-1. And then I think Finn put the icing on the cake, make it 3-1, and that was it. He started our goal of that season and obviously finished as well. So it was a nice moment for him. But yeah, very, very sick moment. I wish I can relive it. Obviously with the celebrations after as well, it was really good.
Of course, we haven't had the teams out yet. We're assuming Barley Mumba's going to be making his 100th appearance for the club. And we know sometimes you get quite exciting things happening, Aaron, when 100th club... not debuts, but matches happen. We had, of course, Adam Randall scoring his first home game during his 100th appearance, and so it might be quite the moment if Barley was able to get a goal against his kind of original club on his.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been an integral part of the recent success that Argyle have had, and just looking at those clips there, Aaron, you forget like how many good goals he scored. The term is like he might not be a great goal scorer, but he's a scorer of great goals. It's like some of his goals and real big moment goals as well. Like the one that we didn't see, which was fine, was the goal against Huddersfield at the start of last season, which put us 2-0 ahead, I think, or 2-1 ahead. And just a terrific football, and you can tell he enjoys his football here as well. And when you're settled, I think players are willing to showcase them, and flourish more.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly would be a really nice moment if we could get the win as well.
Yeah, of course.
But you can but wish. Right, let's go back to the breakfast show and see what we have left coming up for you this morning. Nick Barnes, long-time Sunderland commentator, but Devon boy, will join us to talk about why he thinks Sunderland have started the season so well. Aaron will be picking out the players to watch on both sides ahead of this afternoon's game with a nice little bit of analysis in the studio. And, of course, we will hear from Wayne Rooney, who, along with most of us, are hoping today will be the day that the First League win is chalked off.
It's not about the miles travelled, the long journeys planned and made. Portsmouth to Sunderland by coach, car or train.
We are pilgrims, like our forebears. The spirit of adventure is in our veins.
In battles fought on foreign ground, our loyal chant a constant sound.
We travel as one.
The Green Army, under march.
We wear the shirt with pride.
A sea of green surging forward like the tide. Jammers, one and all. The threads are woven with our dreams. In every stitch our passion beams. Distance doesn't faze us. We're loyal to the last.
It's more than just a shirt.
We are Plymouth Argyle.
We were built for the journey.
Let's hear from the head coaches then, shall we? After the international break, both sides are looking to get up and running into the next period quickly. In a minute, of course, we'll be hearing from our very own manager, Wayne Rooney, who, as I said previously, and as you all know, we're all looking for that win here at Argyle. But first of all, let's turn our attention to the Sunderland boss, Regis Labrie.
Yeah, I think it's a challenging group of games, of course, and there's no denying that. But I think from our point of view, it's an opportunity for us to go up against some good teams, some of the better teams in the division, and compete and challenge. And we'll have to show real togetherness in these games, but also we'll have to be clinical as well. But also an opportunity for us, I feel, to show that we're a good team and we can compete. I think that's important. For our lads to take that into these games, because I've no doubt we can compete with these teams, and I think probably getting that win is the next step for us in terms of giving the lads a bit more confidence from that point of view. But I'm really excited by this group of games, because I think come the end of these we'll know a little bit better where we're at.
Yeah, and I think your experience and your experience of success, I think, plays into that a bit. Knowing making big games bigger is sometimes something that really good players do. Are you looking forward to seeing the dressing room's mentality, because you'd like to see that they're going to say, here's some big teams, let's prove a point against them, and go out there with an extra sense of determination?
Yeah, well, I think every game in this division is a tough game, regardless of who it is, and for different reasons at times as well. But I think for us, Sunderland's a very young team, very energetic team. There's certainly weaknesses in there we can try and exploit to try and win the game, and then moving on. Obviously, we're looking at Sunderland in a minute, but moving on, there's good teams, good players in these teams. But we're also a good team. We've got good players, and I think we're gradually showing that. In terms of results, of course, we would like the results to be better, but I think we're showing in games that we're taking the ball from opposition a lot of the time. We're competing in big moments in games, but it's them real moments when, in terms of taking chances, that's what we need to be better at. But a lot of what we're doing, I've been pleased with.
If teams set up to frustrate you as they might against Plymouth, where it's perhaps a team that you're the favourites in the game, how will you change that philosophy?
It's still a question of adaptation on the pitch. So the scenario on the games are always different. So the identity is not only high pressure. For example, you need to master all the phases, all the single moment of the game, and maybe during one single game, just one part of the game model will be very useful to win, and the other parts are useful but not so important for that game. So, for example, against Plymouth, I don't know the scenario before, but maybe we'll have more situation with possession and counter pressing, and these two situations, moments of the game, maybe will be more important in that game.
And so is your midfield quite fluid then, in the sense that as much as the players have set positions, if one goes, someone can sit deep and they can all fill in for each other, and they're not sort of confined to one individual role?
Yes, we started with only one shape in defense, in possession, and one shape out of possession, to be very simple. But when the team now, the players are mastering these shapes, we can introduce new elements because they are able now to reach the next layer. So experiences after experiences, we can introduce new concepts, and from a single and simple start, if they are able to learn, to share the ideas together, we can go very, very far. Yeah.
Regis Labrie and Wayne Rooney, not necessarily in the right order, but both there. I'm pleased to say, joined by Brian McGlinchey in the studio. Brian, have you been in the studio yet?
I've not, actually. It's very posh, isn't it?
Welcome.
Yeah,
not used to this, are we?
No, we're not.
And this is the best bit, because I just get to hand over to both of you to do the... we should call this Aaron's analysis. I don't know if it's got a proper name yet, but I think that's nice.
Andy Townsend's tactics boss, maybe? Or
yeah, why not?
Aaron's tactics
we'll
boss.
be open to any suggestions. Absolutely. Is that my cue, is it, to take
I
over?
think take it away, Aaron.
So what we're going to do, Bri, is we have a selection of players in preparation for the game today.
Yeah.
And we've got some clips to suggest, who might be their threats, who might be our threats, etc. So the first one I've gone for is Patrick Roberts.
Yep.
So Patrick Roberts is on the screen. Has got good pedigree in this league. Came from Man City. I think was signed by Man City for 12 million in 2015. So for lots of money. He's had 5 key contributions already this season.
Yeah.
He takes all their set plays. So someone who is left-footed yourself, seems to have this real quality delivery, this was the opening game against Cardiff.
Yeah.
And you can see the quality he has. The following week against Sunderland, again, almost a carbon copy. They clearly work on their set plays, and he can be very deadly.
To be fair, I know his career quite well, to be honest. I think when he went to Man City, then he went to Celtic on loan. He played against Man City in the Champions League.
Oh, wow.
Going back,
okay.
he's got really good pedigree. And I think he's had loads of loan moves out of his career, and he's come to Sunderland now, and he's played over 100 games now, and he's got a home now. Do you know what I mean? He's playing really well, and he's a quality player.
He looks settled.
Yeah. He'd come in from that right-hand side on his left foot, and he's very deadly, very dangerous.
He reminds me of like Bernardo Silva a little bit. At Man City, the way that he kind of coasts and drifts, and he's not the biggest, but he seems to have that real good balance and that quality connection.
Well, I think Man City signed him from Fulham, so if Man City sign you, then you've got pedigree.
Yeah.
I did read that when he got to Sunderland, he felt like he had a home.
Yeah.
That was the words he used. So he's had like 5 or 6 loan moves abroad and like within the leagues, and I think now he's got that where a manager believes in you, and so he's a top player. And he's probably going to take over from Clark.
I think he will. So that was our first player.
Yeah.
The second one is the striker, the 19-year-old. Eliza Mayanda.
Yeah.
So 2 goals already this season, involved in 2 goals as well. So contribution of 4, but very pacey, very powerful. You know, this was his first goal of the season against Sunderland, against Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah. Really clinical. Again, someone who likes to get on that last line to, you know, finish the attack off. And we know he's got pedigree for someone so young.
Yeah.
And he made his debut, I think, for Choux in France when he was like 15 or 16.
Yeah, well, you can tell by his physique, he's probably matured early. His physique and been able to do that. But yeah, a lot of the goals that Sunderland have scored have been on the break, haven't they?
Yeah.
And he's probably plays a big part in that. And he's obviously got that bit of size to, and then he's obviously a bit of a good finisher as well. So yeah, they're going to have lots of attacking threats throughout the game, I think.
All over the pitch.
And he's obviously going to be pivotal to that. But I'm sort of hoping today that maybe the international break is come at a bit of a loss for them because they've had to.
That's what we said, wasn't it? You know, that little
break.
break.
Maybe that's going to maybe halt their form. Maybe they would want to just keep playing games, that bit of confidence. But I did read that they have had no injuries since they've come back.
No.
So they're coming full strength, which is a bit of a blow.
And they've got, you know, you said Romain Mundle, who came from who turned down a new deal at Spurs.
Spurs, yeah.
They've got obviously Jobe Bellingham.
Yeah.
The younger brother of Jude Bellingham, and they got that young lad Chris Rigg, who's only 17, who's been playing. So, like you said, they're full of quality all over that attacking pitch.
Yeah, I like Mundle. He plays on the left, cuts in with his right. You see wingers now; they play with the opposite side.
They invert, don't they?
Yeah, and they want to play that cross in between that sort of corridor between the goalkeeper, and it's hard to defend. I think Argyle are going to be really careful today because Argyle want to go and press and be on the front foot, being at home, but they're going to be with that sort of counter attack. And I did read that their manager was saying that they like to play like that, to catch teams out. You know, maybe let them have a false sense of security that they're playing well. And if we lose possession high up the pitch or in dangerous areas, that's where we could get caught.
Well, that plugs quite nicely into the players I've selected for Argyle today. The first one is Rans.
Yeah.
You know, Adams had a really good start to the season, but he's good going forward, as we know. He's got good energy, but he's also really good at kind of just plugging those gaps.
Yeah.
And because he's got that athleticism to get back as well. Of course. I think, you know, he had high praise from Wayne Rooney yesterday in his press conference.
I did read that. That is praise and a half.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You know, and you can just see here, they're the types of moments we're going to need to see him today where he's just thwarting any breaks that they have, but we know he can carry the ball well as well. You know, it's not just his ability to pass the ball. I mean, that was the pass out for the first goal against Hull, and it was a terrific ball out. But I thought against Stoke he was excellent. He was very clever the way he worked the ball.
Yeah.
You know, and he's getting closer to a goal as well. You know, he had 2 free kicks against Stoke, and this was his goal last year in the FA Cup against Leeds. So we know he's got pedigree.
He's showing different forms of a midfielder there, isn't he? Because most midfielders have got like a niche where they sit and they hold and plug gaps, where he's able to get forward and maybe create stuff. And what I liked about his passing there, it's one touch, so he's got a picture in his head. So he's already looked, he's scanned, he's seen the picture, and for Rooney to make them comments, he's not going to do that on a whim, is he? He's not going to put him under pressure.
I agree.
So he must see in training and seeing games, you know, that he's got that ability. So
I think it's just giving Randall the belief. Like, if Rooney's backing him and saying, like, I can take you to another level.
Yeah.
You know, has he got aspirations of playing in the Premier League? And if Mike Cooper can potentially, if Sheffield United go up, he becomes a Premier League player, then why not?
No, but you're right. Confidence plays a big part in that. But for me, that pass out wide to Whittaker, you know, first time, just that oozes class. And people might think that's really simple, but it's totally not.
You get it, spot on.
It's totally not.
The other player is someone that we know well is Morgan Whittaker. You know, we know the season he had last year. We know the impact he had when he came on loan in League One. He's had an okay start, but we know the pedigree he has. And if you look at the number of shots he's had this season, he's top for the team in terms of 15. That was his goal against QPR, which was a rocket. And we know, as you've commentated on a lot last season, he gets into these good positions, doesn't he, with that left foot, that he's capable of putting those chances away.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me that he's got the most shots because he just shoots on sight, doesn't he? Sometimes as a criticism, he probably shoots too much. Sometimes when you want to keep possession, keep that pass, but hopefully that goal against QPR will give him a bit of confidence. Because interesting season for him because he's had a brilliant season last year, and obviously teams would have come in for him. I don't know where his head is. Did he want that big move or did he want to stay? Sounds like he maybe, from what I've read, he wants to stay. So, and he's got a home here. We talked about the Sunderland player, you know,
Patrick Roberts, feeling that they belong
somewhere. So, I think it's tough for him because he's going to be marked heavily. He's not going to be given time now to come in on his left foot. People are going to be putting him on his right foot, so he's going to have to think about his attack and play. So yeah, he's got a challenging season ahead, but this will make him a better player playing against these challenges. And he's got a great manager to support him, because Rooney would have been obviously even far more scrutiny in his game and try to be sort of stopped, and he'll have sort of ideas of how to sort of fix that and implement ways to sort of impact the game.
So we'll see how that plays out, really.
Yeah.
You know, so
thank you both.
Gut feeling?
I think it's a draw.
Good to sit on the fence answer. I like that.
First. He's playing it safe. Brian, you are going to be back towards the end. You are going to want to listen to what we've got coming up next, because it may be relevant to you. Have an hour left on Argyle Breakfast, and coming up next, we are going to see the latest 72 in 72 challenge. This week it's Lewis Gibson up against the clock, and Brian, you in the studio later on. Just be aware. Nick Barnes, the Sunderland commentator who was born in Devon, will join us live in the studio to help preview the game. And as we gear up to kick off on Argyle TV, make sure you get your match passes. They're available both audio and video from the website now. So go and get them.
Travelled, the long journeys planned and made. Portsmouth to Sunderland by coach, car or train.
We are pilgrims, like our forebears. The spirit of adventure is in our veins.
In battles fought on foreign ground, our loyal chant a constant sound.
We travel as one.
The Green Army on the march.
We wear the shirt with pride.
A sea of green surging forward like the tide. Jammers, one and all. The threads are woven with our dreams. In every stitch our passion beams. Distance doesn't faze us. We're loyal to the last.
It's more than just a shirt.
We are Plymouth Argyle.
We were built for the journey.
This is Argyle Breakfast at 25 to 12 with me, Erin Black, and Aaron Cusack. And the league leaders are in town today. Sunderland have won all 4 of their matches so far this season. And to help us understand why, we've been joined by the Devon-born Sunderland commentator, Nick Barnes. Hello, Nick.
Good morning.
I like how we're keeping it broad in Devon-born.
Yes,
because where were you actually born, Nick?
Well, I was actually born in London, but I was brought up in Devon, near Exeter. So I moved to Exeter when I was barely 1. So yeah.
If we just come with the microphone right up here, so I want everyone to hear you. Even though, of course, you just said you were brought up in Exeter, I won't hold that against you. We will let the people hear you speak. Nick, Sunderland have had a really fantastic start to the season, haven't they? And just your involvement in following them, of course, is a part of the BBC.
Yes, I mean it's taken everybody by surprise. To be fair, the second half of last season was so poor. The summer was one of change, if you like. I think a lot of people were very worried about what the transfer window was going to be like, whether they get a striker in, because that's been a ongoing issue at Sunderland for the last couple of seasons. They haven't been able to sign an established striker. The mood shifted in the summer with the launch of the new kit, and they eventually had what I think most Sunderland fans would deem a good transfer window, although they didn't sign an established, experienced striker. But they started the season with Eliza Mienda, who's one of the young strikers they signed a year or so ago, and he's hit the ground running this season. So in a way, that's compensated for the lack of an experienced forward. But nobody could have predicted they were going to go 4 games and win all 4 games. And I mean, the only blip in that was the own goal at Portsmouth. It would have been 4 games without conceding a goal as well. So it's been a sort of enchanted start, and everyone's wondering how long it will last because, you know, we all look back to last season, and there's a lot of talk about Ipswich, who started really well, and everybody said Ipswich wouldn't maintain that form and that momentum, but they did. So there's a hope that Sunderland can do likewise this season.
And how many seasons have you been covering Sunderland for?
This is my 21st season.
So, I mean, you will really have seen the whole trajectory that a club can
I've seen
offer.
a lot of lows, not many highs.
And how, you know, I know you said born in London then, but grow up in Exeter. How do you make it that far north? What's your personal journey?
Basically, because I started at the BBC at Radio Devon.
Yeah.
And from Radio Devon, I moved to Radio Cumbria. I couldn't have moved further away, could
literally.
So I moved to Radio Cumbria, and when I was there, I started commentating on Carlisle United. So I did 7 seasons with Carlisle. I moved to London for a summer to work with BBC Sport in London, and the Newcastle United job came up. And I wasn't staying in London. I moved back north and did Newcastle United for 5 years, and then moved over to Sunderland. So that's my story.
Yeah, and do you find, obviously having covered Sunderland in particular for such a long period of time, does it maintain a professional kind of following for you, or do you get sucked in? Would you qualify yourself as a fan now? Or?
I think you, over that period of time, you do get immersed, and there's no question you do get wrapped up within the football club, within the fandom. And clearly, you know, it's in every best interest for them to do well. For me, for the fans, it just makes life a lot easier. But I think you do become invested in them. I mean, there's no question. I think, you know, living in Sunderland now and following the club as closely as I do, that I have become a fan. But that doesn't preclude me being as objective as we possibly can. There's no point trying to mask things if they're not playing well. There's no point trying to pretend that, you know, things are going well. So, and I think that's part of the longevity. The reason we've had that sort of length of time and that success is because we're balanced, we're objective, but at the same time, we're on Sunderland's side, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar, I guess, in our respect, Aaron, that you obviously have the soft spot for Argyle, but like if they're not doing well, have to address it, and like you do your you know post match analysis.
You try to say it in a non-judgmental way, you know, but you want to, because you want them to do well, but you have to call it as it is at times. Yeah. In a, like you say, in a measured and objective way.
Yeah, I think that's the key. It's a measured, objective, without, you know, going too far one way or too far the other way. If you're honest about the appraisal of a game, or if it hasn't gone well, and especially with players, if you're honest with the players, you build a trust, and I think, you know, that trust is fundamentally what you don't want to breach.
I've got a question about one of the managers last year, the coaches, Mick Beale. Just tell us about his aura as a coach and the reputation that he had.
It was a very strange period because Tony Mowbray was sacked, and Tony was exceptionally popular. I mean, there may have been, I think there was a small section of the support who felt that maybe Tony had taken the club as far as he could. But I think overall, most Sunderland fans didn't want to see him go, felt he would have taken them back to the top 6. So Tony leaving was a bit of a choker for everybody. And then they appointed Mick Beale, which was a very strange one because he didn't really fit in the supporters' eyes what they see as a Sunderland coach, Sunderland manager. Mick came in, I think, very aware of the pressure he was under from the fans and wanting to make it a good impression, but probably said things he shouldn't have done. He sort of said things about the fans that backfired on him. So right from the start, the relationship was fragile, shall we say, and it didn't really get any better. He got a couple of wins, which people sort of stood back and say, okay, let's go with the flow here, but then a defeat. And there was an incident at Birmingham when Trey Hume was substituted, came off the pitch. The video seems to suggest that Mick Beale didn't shake hands with him because he just ignored him. I don't think that was the whole truth, but it fitted the narrative for Sunderland fans then to say this man is not right for the football club. And I think they all agreed, the club and Mick, that it wasn't going to work, and it was in everybody's best interest that he left. It wasn't a good period in the club's sort of recent history, and I think they learnt a lot from how they handled that.
It was
situation.
interesting because from an outsider, there was like speculation online that he was stoking his own reputation. For almost like using himself as an alias, and and it just.
I think that it's very hard to. There was a lot of speculation surrounding his social media accounts and that side of things. It ultimately it was the wrong time and the wrong person for that job. And I think right from the start we all realised that it was going to be a rocky road and probably wasn't going to end well.
I mean, many clubs have had that, wrong person, wrong time, and it just doesn't quite fit. And then you have to hope the next one does. Obviously, it's working out for you at the minute with Regis Labrie so far. We'll touch on him in a second. I do just want to go back to the commentary part of things. I've seen Charlie Price, who does our commentary here at Argyle. I've seen some of his notes, and I've been told that your notes for commentary, which I think we'll be able to see for everyone at home, they're beautiful.
There's a sort of history to those.
Okay.
I started doing, when I first started at Carlisle and Newcastle, my notes were scruffy bits of paper and I'd lose them, and they gradually I've sort of worked out a template of how to lay out a couple of pages for doing the games. Then started doing the crest. So I started drawing the crest then. Of course, once you've drawn one, everyone says, well, you can't stop there. You've got to draw them all. And that's become a little bit of actually now it's not too bad because I've drawn most of the Football League's crests and Premier League, so I can generally photocopy them.
Oh, they're drawings.
They're drawings,
yeah.
they're drawings. Yes, they're all hand drawn.
Oh, that's impressive.
So
is that quite therapeutic?
It is. It's quite cathartic as well, just to do that. Actually, when you're doing your notes for a game, when you're doing it like that, you do take it all in. And as soon as the game's finished, I've forgotten everything from previously, and you moved on to the next one. But occasionally, I've been picked up on. I think Norwich sort of tinkered with their crest last season. I hadn't noticed it, and of course, I put it on social media, and immediately, there's a barrage of Norwich fans who had got that wrong. I mean, fans now say, "Will you please put your notes on social media?" Because they do like to see them, and it's become a bit of a thing. Actually,
So, have you done your Argyle?
I've done my
Argyle, and they're out on social.
They're out on social media.
Oh, great! Oh, we'll have to have a look at those.
Well, I mean, Charlie ought to be ashamed of himself. I mean,
he hadn't even made any notes a couple of weeks ago. Remember, he didn't. He said if there was a prolonged period of silence,
he was going like. Disgusting.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that's a bit of you because I've seen your notepad as well. It's very organised. Yeah. It's not quite to that.
No way. That's
standard.
giving me inspiration. So I'm gonna use it as a therapeutic measure to start drawing emblems and things like that.
Just a final word from you, Nick. How are you feeling about the game this afternoon? I imagine pretty confident.
I am confident because of the way that Sunderland have been playing so far this season, but I'm also slightly nervy because these are the sort of games where historically Sunderland have tended to slip up. I don't. The way that Regis Labrie has got the team set up at the minute, he is so organised, he's so focused, he's so 100% in the job, and every player knows their duty and what they're supposed to do now. There's a real structure to the team, and they are scoring goals. They're not conceding goals. I mean, it'd be interesting if they concede a goal because we have not yet seen how they react to going behind.
Right.
So that would be interesting. On paper, that old cliche, Sunderland should win the game.
Yeah.
But it is a difficult league. There's no question about it. The Championship is brutal at times, and having had the international break as well, that's in a way I look at that and think, is this having that break, was that a good or a bad thing when they were in that momentum from the first few games of the season? So. Pragmatically, I'm thinking Sunderland win. Romantically, I'm thinking, oh no, is this the banana skin?
Yeah, well, I mean, as the case is football, you just don't know until everyone gets on the pitch and we see what happened. But thank you very much for taking the time to come in and be on the breakfast show this morning. And I hope you enjoy the game. Not necessarily with a win, but I hope you enjoy it regardless. We will be back very shortly with the remainder of the breakfast show. Don't go anywhere.
It's not about the miles travelled, the long journeys planned and made. Portsmouth to Sunderland, by coach, car or train.
We are pilgrims, like our forebears. The spirit of adventure is in our veins.
In battles fought on foreign ground, our loyal chant a constant sound.
We travel as one.
The Green Army, under march.
We wear the shirt with pride.
A sea of green surging forward like the tide. Jammers, one and all. The threads are woven with our dreams. In every stitch our passion beams. Distance doesn't faze us. We're loyal to the last.
It's more than just a shirt. We are Plymouth Argyle.
We were built for the journey.
Okay, it's that time of the breakfast show again. Brian is back, ready for the 72 in 72 challenge. I feel like you've entered a... It's like you're about to do a Rain Man moment.
Read the script.
You have got a little bit more time before you do it, because we are going to go and have a look at Lewis Gibson. So just a reminder of the rules for anyone that hasn't seen this already, and for you, Brian, so you definitely know what's about to happen. You've got 72 seconds to name as many of the 72 EFL teams as you can. The score to beat at the moment is 38 by Charlie Price, and he did that just before the international break. So let's see how Lewis Gibson gets on first.
Hi, this is Lewis Gibson, Plymouth Argyle defender, and this is the 72 in 72.
Three, two, one, go.
Plymouth Argyle, Bristol City, Bristol Rovers, Exeter City, Swindon Town, Fleetwood, Blackpool, Blackburn, Bolton, Morecambe, Harrogate, Grimsby, Hull, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Leeds, Reading, MK, come on, Wickham, Wigan, Tranmere, Norwich, Ipswich, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, Crewe, Watford, Southampton just went up, Luton, Burnley.
28.
28, not too bad. Certainly better than Mark Edworthy. The bar's low in that regard,
Well,
Brian. Sorry, Mark, if you're
I'll
watching.
comment afterwards. See how I do.
Okay, are you ready? Feeling confident?
I'm not feeling confident, but I'll...
Yeah, I think he'll do well. Right, so Aaron is gonna
You're
do
gonna
this.
give me a countdown, yeah?
Yeah. Aaron will do the score. I've got the timer ready. Right, I'll give you a countdown then. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Preston, Hull, Chesterfield, Swindon, Carlisle, Barrow, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, Harrogate, Stockport, Salford, Morecambe, Accrington, Tranmere, Wigan, Bolton, Birmingham, West Brom, Walsall. Who else is there? I'll go Shrewsbury, Chesterfield, Bristol City, Bristol Rovers, Cardiff, Swansea, Newport, Cheltenham, Argyle, Portsmouth, Wimbledon, Bromley, QPR, Swindon, MK Dons, Oxford, Gillingham, Argyle, Exeter, said Cheltenham, I think, Reading, QPR, Watford, Scunthorpe, no, in the league, Colchester, Fleetwood, missed anyone? Port Vale, Stoke.
There you go. Oh, that's a lovely little timer that I've got there.
That was impressive,
That
but
was,
I think he
yeah.
repeated himself. I've lost count at one point. I was like, did he reflect? But yeah, we'll have to. But I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 44.
We'll get them in.
That needs to be
did you think that we
independently
have a second
verified.
Verify behind the 3 repeats.
3 repeats. I got 2 of the repeats. So it might
say
be 43,
and then we can run it back through.
Yeah,
but
43. Wow. I told you you'd do well, didn't I?
Oh my God!
I just did
Brian.
geography.
Yeah, good work.
Wow.
Good work. Do you want to give Mark some tips?
It's a shame that because well, no, I mean it's really good, but after Mark's, I was ready. I was like, I might do next week, and now I don't ever want to do.
That was impressive.
That was really. What was so your mode was?
I went 4 or 5 that I would never remember, and then I went geography, top the country down, and then I got lost a little bit, and then recouped myself.
Yeah, there were moments I wondered what you were doing because you were saying them so fast. I thought, what is his MO
I just
here?
looked at the outside and I thought, well, I'm going to go geography.
Good work.
Wow, that's absolutely fantastic.
Cool.
I could.
I found my niche.
Yeah, you have.
You have.
Yeah.
43 is.
We
like
need to do like a little segment of like
top of the league
statistics, or where you just
don't
get
think it's
you
going to get me far. That needs to be fair.
You never know. You never know.
I mean, it's amazing this is. Let us turn our attention back to the football of the day. Brian, you're going to be doing Match Day Live with me before the game. How are you feeling about the game that we've got coming up?
I think the obvious thing is everyone's going to be nervous because Sunderland have started so well. But I think we didn't expect to beat Leicester last year. So I think people could think, oh, that's a game you should win. That's a game maybe you'd struggle in. Football doesn't work like that. I think the international break might have helped Argyle more than Sunderland. And we have got to take the game to them. I think the nervousness is on the break, and we haven't been clinical. Against Stoke, we've had chances, and we didn't take those chances. The bits of the games I watched. So I think it's just making sure we take our chances and not giving those opportunities. Maybe giving passes away in dangerous areas to allow them to attack us. But I think this would be great if we got a win, get the crowd going, win Rooney's first win at home. I think that'll be immense if we can, in the league. Sorry, because won the league.
I think the calibre, if they are successful today, the calibre of the opposition would be really cement, the belief in Rooney. And you made a good point earlier about Sunderland seem to like to lure the opposition into a false sense of control and then hit them on the break. Against Hull, we turned the ball over by pressing high quickly in the 5 times in the first 25 minutes. Is that something you think Rooney and the team will look to adopt today? Would you think they'll try to press high and aggressively?
I think if you looked at the game against Portsmouth, Sunderland scored 2 or 3 goals on the break against teams, like winning they're supposed to be attacking and then hit them on the break. I think Argyle got to be mindful of that. So I think your 2 centre midfielders, whoever that may be, Randall and Houghton, maybe have to think about because we want Sissoko and probably Whittaker to give us that sort of maverick play and do what they want to do. But I think we need to have that base where you're protecting your back 4, is keeping that solid. Because I think that's what they're going to be relying on, is hitting us on the break.
That's interesting. I mean, if they do adopt an aggressive press, that doesn't allow them to almost hit us on the break. In the sense that we're trying to let them build, and then we're going to oppress them.
Yeah, but if we go too high and we don't get the press right,
they'll play out.
They've got enough
players play out.
That's why football is such a. Tactics. You can say one thing, but it's all about individuals. It's all about individuals doing their jobs really well, making decisions, making the right decisions. Sometimes you can't play it along the back. You've got to go long. I think that sometimes is missing in football. I think you see this sort of lovely football in the back, and you think, it's just not the right time. You've got to mix it up. You've got to get teams to think, and that's probably where Argyle have just got to make the right decisions, and it's the players got to make them the right decisions in those pressure moments.
Yeah, I mean, we had Nick on earlier who said, Sunderland haven't gone behind yet this season, So they're waiting for,
they don't know how
you know, what happens, how will they respond if they go a goal behind.
Yeah.
You know, so that I suppose, and like you say, that's the eclectic mix of football, isn't it? It's so different and varied. You just don't understand,
and
don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And they didn't have a great season last year, did
they?
They
didn't. The back end, they fell away.
Yeah, so just because they've had a good start, they could be a bit of, they could be fragile too. So you've got to just get at them and make it difficult for them. And no better place than home park, where if you do get at them and you get on top of them, but it's just that you got to be careful with them on the break, I think.
Yeah, I mean, from being a player yourself, do you find, I know we're only about a month into the season, but, you know, Sunderland obviously having those wins, maybe more to lose in the sense that there's the pressure there from, obviously we haven't won any, and like you said, there's that pressure maybe possibly building on Rooney to get the win, but vice versa for them to maintain that streak and lose. Psychology-wise, it's kind of two different sides of a coin.
Yeah. I think, you know, when you're winning games, I think it's a lot. You know, you're breeding confidence and you can play with a bit of freedom. I think when you're down at the bottom and you're struggling for results, that's a different type of pressure. You're more sort of safe for your passes and instead of making sure you maybe go for that maybe one that might get you a goal, you might play the safe pass. So it's a different type of pressure. But I think it'd be great for Argyle's confidence. I think if they got a result today, but this league it demonstrates anyone can beat anyone. I think Rooney said that in his notes on the programme. Anyone can beat anyone in this league, but it's going and doing it though. That's the tough bit.
That's it. It's getting the points on the board, isn't it? And that brings the assurance that you're in a secure position. And if you don't get those points early, it becomes quite precarious.
Yeah, we did that last year, didn't we? We got a few big results. We beat Norwich here, didn't we? 5-2, 5-1. I think we got a couple of big results.
I think they beat Blackburn here, and I thought Blackburn were excellent. Yeah, and we beat them 3-0, and it was like, wow, where's that result come from?
We had a few big results that sort of give us that bit of confidence, give us a bit of breathing space. We haven't got that now. We've got to start winning a few games, but I do like some of the players he's brought in.
I do.
Yeah. So it's I don't know, fingers crossed we get over the line today.
Argyle are certainly capable of it because we've seen it before, and it's only a matter of time until we find out what's happening. As I said, Brian and I will be back for the pre-match show at 2:30, and you can tune in with that one for free over on the YouTube page. We'll also have all of the team news and the important build-up ahead of kickoff when Rob McNichol and Ian Stonebridge will be taking up the reins for commentary. Stay with us throughout the afternoon. You won't be disappointed. You won't miss a moment of the action. Match passes in the UK, if you haven't got them already, £2.50 audio only, and for certain international viewers it's £10 for the video stream. All of the details found over on the website pafc.co.uk. Thank you to all of you for watching. Thank you to all of our guests and Aaron and Brian for being here as well. We'll see you in a couple of hours ready for all the action when Argyle take on Sunderland.